This is President Joe Biden. On February 19th, Biden visited the Pfizer manufacturing facility in Portage, Michigan for a very important photo op. First, the media captured him shuffling down an aisle of industrial freezers containing the COVID-19 vaccine. Then Biden was shown the process of filling those freezers. Really fascinating stuff. Suddenly, the media was rushed over to another spot in the facility so they could capture this worker showing the president how to close a cardboard box. Man, that guy's gonna have the story of a lifetime to tell his grandchildren. The President of the United States watched me close up a box. Then he asked me where the bathroom was. And then I pointed it was down the hall, and then he gave me a thumbs up. It was the proudest moment of my life. Anyway, President Biden was wearing this two-mask regimen, a cloth mask over a KN95 mask. As a reminder, KN95s are manufactured in China, which kind of goes against Biden's own executive order from January. On January 25th, Biden issued an executive order regarding the importance of American manufacturing. The United States government should, whenever possible, procure goods, products, materials, and services from sources that will help American businesses compete in strategic industries and help America's workers thrive. Now, it's not like Joe Biden doesn't have N95 masks that are manufactured in the United States, but whatever. What's important here is that the President of the United States sets a good example by wearing a mask, right? Well, not so fast. His own CDC's guidelines explicitly state do not combine a KN95 mask with any other mask. But the main reason not to wear a mask over a KN95 mask is because of its design. When you wear a cloth mask on top of it, you smash this part up against your face. But let's face it, the only reason that he's wearing the KN95 is because it has ear loops, so he can remove it easier in front of the cameras and not mess up what's left of his hair. In other words, it's for vanity, not science. Speaking of masks, the Biden administration plans to use the Department of Defense to distribute 25 million cloth face masks. These masks will be no cost, high quality, washable, and consistent with the mask guidance from the CDC. Except that it really isn't consistent because they've been telling us to wear two masks now. And if a single cloth mask is effective, then why do we constantly see Joe Biden wearing two masks? Clearly, the president feels like he needs to wear two masks for better protection, right? So the question is, why is the United States government bothering to send out cloth face masks that are going to provide subpar protection to low-income communities? Oh, right, because equity or whatever. Anyway, back at the Pfizer facility, Joe Biden spoke about the importance of passing what has been dubbed the American Rescue Plan and how everyone supports it.
According to the polls, there is overwhelming bipartisan support. The vast majority of the American people, more than 70% of the American people, with all the polls you all conduct, including the majority of Republicans, want us to act and act big and quickly and support the plan.
Not exactly, because this Quinnipiac poll was conducted between January 28th and February 1st. This CBS News YouGov poll was conducted between February 5th to the 8th, and this New York Times SurveyMonkey poll was conducted from February 8th to the 14th. And the text of the actual bill wasn't released until February 18th. So how can someone legitimately be in favor of a bill before they even see what's actually in the bill? And look at the wording of one of the questions that provided the most positive response. Do you approve or disapprove of President Biden's proposed $1.9 trillion stimulus package, which would provide federal support to individuals and businesses impacted by the coronavirus? Do I approve of helping individuals? No, I'm a monster. The truth is, if people knew exactly what was in the American Rescue Plan, they might have a different response.
We need Congress to pass my American Rescue Plan that deals with the immediate crisis, the urgency. Now, critics say my plan is too big, that it costs $1.9 trillion. So that's too much.
And the critics are right, Joe. It is too big. Biden claims that the American Rescue Plan deals with the immediate crisis, but the devil is in the details. First, there's the $128.5 billion for the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. According to the White House, the nearly $130 billion is to reduce class sizes and modify spaces so students and teachers can socially distance, improve ventilation, and provide personal protective equipment. But as I pointed out in a recent episode, the head of the CDC has stated that it's safe for children and teachers to go back to school because children don't really contract or spread the virus to adults. So why are we spending money on things that we ultimately do not need? Because why not? The White House also says that the money would be used to hire more janitors and increase transportation capacity to facilitate social distancing on the bus. And then when school districts realize that they don't really need to do this, those newly hired janitors and bus drivers will be out of a job, but whatever. Either way, schools were already allocated $30 billion back in March 2020 in the CARES Act, and $82 billion from the $900 billion package that Trump signed in December. And according to the Congressional Budget Office, most of those funds remain to be spent, and estimates that about 95% of the proposed $129 billion for schools won't be spent until 2023. You know, after the pandemic is over. Then there's the additional $7.2 billion for the Paycheck Protection Program. And the whole point of PPP was to keep businesses afloat and people off the unemployment rolls during the lockdowns. But it's been nearly a year later, and there is no reason that states can't let businesses fully reopen. Furthermore, of the $806.4 billion in PPP, $183 billion remains unspent or undispersed. So why are we adding more to it? I mean, I know that $7.2 billion doesn't sound like a lot when it comes to a $1.9 trillion bill, but it's just a waste of money. And unfortunately, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
And I'm prepared to hear their ideas how to make the package better and make it cheaper. I'm open to that.
Well then buckle up, Joe, because we're just getting started. An analysis by the Wall Street Journal says it is being generous when it states that the $1.9 trillion package has only $825 billion going towards COVID-related provisions. The rest of it is for bailouts for blue states and unrelated policy changes. For example, $220 billion is being allocated to states based on average unemployment from last October to December. And that means states like California and New York, whose high unemployment rate was caused by lockdowns, will now be awarded more money than states who didn't lock down. So basically, the worse you managed your state, the more the federal government will bail you out. Then there's $86 billion to rescue 185 multi-employer pension plans insured by the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation. These plans were chronically underfunded and had issues long before COVID, but the unions helped get Biden elected, so let's bail him out to return the favor. The bill also includes raising the federal minimum wage within a 5-year period to $15 an hour, which thankfully Senate rules prohibit from being part of a final COVID package. And despite zero chance of being part of the final legislation, House Democrats left it in the bill anyway, because feelings. So instead of a targeted COVID relief bill, the American Rescue Plan is a Democrat policy wish list. Because you know what they say, never let a crisis go to waste.
Let me ask them, what would they have me cut? What would they have me leave out?
Oh man, I don't know where to start. First, you could remove the COVID-19 response resources for the preservation and maintenance of Native American languages. Cost? $10 million. Unless COVID is making Native Americans forget their native languages, this is wholly unnecessary. Then you could remove the $19.25 million for Gallaudet University, or the $35 million going to Howard University. In the last two COVID packages, Gallaudet and Howard received $158 million and $284 million respectively. Not to mention that both universities have huge endowments.
That's what she said.
As I was saying, Gallaudet has an endowment of $183 million, and Howard University has an endowment of $692.8 million. Not only are these universities not in financial straits, but they already received hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer money in less than a year's time. They didn't need it then, and they definitely don't need it now. Then there's the $50 million that would go towards funding for family planning. And everyone knows that that money goes to the opposite of family planning. Then there's $135 million for the National Endowment for the Arts, $135 million for the National Endowment for the Humanities, and $200 million for the Institute of Museum and Library Services. Because COVID or something. Then you have $390 million for the modernization of the WIC program. And that $390 million isn't funding the program. It's being used to modernize it. And then there's the $288 million that will go to transportation projects in the Bay Area of California. According to the San Francisco Chronicle, the stimulus bill would give about $141 million to the BART Silicon Valley extension and $77 million to the Transbay Tube Capacity Project. What does extending rapid transit routes in the Bay Area have to do with the immediate crisis of the pandemic? Nothing. It's just something that Speaker Nancy Pelosi wanted funded. Despite all of this bloat, the White House is presenting the American Rescue Plan as focused and vital. Let's take a look at this propaganda.
The American Rescue Plan is President Biden's comprehensive plan to address the public health crisis and resulting economic crisis. The plan breaks down into 3 categories: relief, shots, and schools.
They're trying to make the bill seem quaint, when in reality, there's about $1 trillion worth that has nothing to do with COVID.
There's more in the bill, but you get the gist.
Translation? Sure, there's more to the bill, but don't worry. We told you everything that we want you to know about it. The Biden administration is trying to pull a fast one on the American taxpayer. And unfortunately, with the Democrat-controlled Congress, there's nothing we can do about it. And on that sad and sorry note, thanks for watching, sharing, and slamming that like button. If you want to cheer up, check out the brand new Clown World merchandise in my merch store. If you want one, the link is in the description. They turned out great. Then follow me on Twitter at Don'tWalkRun and on Instagram at Don'tWalkRunProductions. A special thanks to Poofy for all of her help with this week's video, and you can follow her on Twitter as well. Again, thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time. If there is a next time.